All right, class. I hope my microphone is working. It appears as though it is. I just recorded about probably realistically 30 seconds, but it felt like 5 minutes of this intro, and my mic wasn't working at all. So let's get the video in the background going, get some holy image, center myself just right. All right. So today we're going to talk about the book of Job, and I know that you might be looking at me and saying, Professor, I don't understand how you're qualified to talk about Job being an atheist. But a lot of you guys don't understand my history, you don't understand my past and my ties to religion. I was raised Catholic as an altar boy until the age of about 16, 17. I became disillusioned and went full-blown Orthodox Judaism. And I was Orthodox Judaism until about the age of 20 when I was able to take my marks to become full-on Hasidic Jew. And I was the youngest convert ever in the U.S., at least. In Israel, they got some really young ones. But I was the youngest one in the U.S. to be granted the rank of Hasidic Jew at the age of 20. I was writing my papers for my Pharisees when I was about 24 in 2024 when I tragically lost my wife. Still can't find her. And I became disillusioned with the Lord through all my praying and all my reading and all my writing. I could not find him. So I lost faith in the Lord and kind of turned to the drink and a bit of a hedonistic lifestyle since then. But if I'm being honest, it kind of rocks. It's like this shit, and I think that everybody should do it. But I'm rambling here. I wanted to talk about Job, and what I wanted to get to with Job was that it's a book about suffrage. If you've never heard it, um, nobody cares about you. God doesn't care about you. God has a bet with the devil on how long you'll last, essentially, is pretty much what it is. And it's like when you start asking why, then God's like, hey, here's everything, and you can't comprehend it, and you weren't here when I made it, bitch. And Job's just like, okay. Um, but I mean, that's kind of a brief synopsis of what it is. In reality, Job is like, he's this really righteous and pious man. He'd live in a temple like this, like what's going on in the back, or maybe that one. But he's a really pious man, and he's really righteous, and he loves the Lord. He loves the Lord so much that he's paranoid that his own family might be lying about how much they love the Lord. Like maybe his wife's got a side piece, or like maybe his son is like beating up some school bully or some shit. So he goes and he prays extra hard just for his family. And now God up in heaven is like, he's calling all his angels and devils, I guess, for some reason, because they're still chilling up there at this point. But there's this guy called the adversary that's there too, but he's also the adversary is the Satan. Um, but so he's in God's audience too, and God's like, look at this guy Job. This guy is my man. He's ride or die. He loves me so much. I bet I could do anything I want to him. And the adversary is like, you could do anything? And God's like, okay, well, I bet you $10 that you could take anything you want from him without doing any harm to him, and he'll still worship me. And the devil's like, I'll take that bet, cool. And like, I mean, if you're the devil, that's just kind of a win-win, because even if the guy still worships God, you just got to take everything from him. But to continue, um, so the devil goes down, the adversary goes down to Georgia, and he goes down to where Job's living, not Job. Job's even scarier than Job. Don't get me started. Talk about suffrage. But he goes down to where Job's living, and he just like fucking squad wipes Job's whole family, gives him illness, leaves him out on a rock, and Job still worships God. So God's like, "You owe me $10, Satan," and Satan's like, "Fuck, $10 well spent, I guess. What else do you think we can get this guy to do?" And so God's like, I don't know, fuck it. You can do harm to him now. And so the devil goes down, and that's when he gives him like disease and shit. And so Job's lost everything, and now he's got sores from his head to his toes, which great, me too. But he goes down and he gives him all that shit, and it's just like, okay. So he's still worshiping God, and God leaves him there for like 7 days, and three of Job's homies show up, and this is some Old Testament thinking. So they're like, dude, you did something wrong, or you were about to do something wrong, and this is God's punishment. And Job's like, no, God damn it, I prayed for my family, even if they were gonna do something wrong. I had my shit covered. I don't know what the fuck. This guy I'm super loyal to, honestly, I deserve an audience with. And then this other guy comes in, and he's like, yada yada yada. It's probably God punishing you because he knew you'd be thinking like this. And then the other guy leaves and nobody reacts to him. So a lot of Pharisees honestly think that that guy was added in later as like some young like philosopher was like, I know everything. Here's the solution. Because Job doesn't react to it, neither does the friends. Job continues, I deserve court with God. Phoenix Ace Attorney, he's like, objection. God, I command you to come down here. This is unfair to me. I didn't even ask to be alive. And all I've done is worship you, and all you've done is taken everything from me. So God comes down, and God's like pissed the fuck off. He shows up with ice. He shows up with all his homies, breaks in Job's door, which he doesn't even have anymore, by the way. He's just sleeping on a rock on the side of the road. So he shows up to where Job is, whips him up in like some fucking tornado or something, and then like brings him to see all of creation, all of the universe, from an animal described kind of like a hippo to one that's kind of described a little bit like an alligator, but a lot of people also think that it's a leviathan. And he's like, see, I can make this shit, and it all lives in harmony, and you're the only thing that's out of harmony. And like Job's like, okay, I guess I'm worthless. You can make anything. You can turn me into a pile of dirt. And God's like, yeah, where were you when I made that? And he's like pointing at the hippo. And he's like, where were you when I made that? And he's like pointing at the sun and the stars. And like Job's like, I wasn't here. I understand. You're right. I worship you. I bow in piety. And it's like, no, because you made me when you wanted to make me, so you could have made me then, and I could have seen everything, and I could understand everything. And hell, maybe I'd even raise a good point as to why you're being unfair. Dipshit, you can't just be like, I know more than you, so I'm right. Like, that's like kind of pissing me off a little bit. But also, on top of that, it's like, I don't know. This is why a lot of girls need to read this shit because like it's about suffering, okay? And my heart goes out to all the suffering in the world out there, but Lord knows over history. I mean, John Lennon wrote a song about it, about women's suffrage, and you should look it up because it's got a great title. Um, but I don't, is that the title? Woman is the of the human race. I forget the name of it, but you should look it up. Anyway, tying back into my shit with God though, it's annoying because then God ends up whipping Job back down to like his three homies that really aren't his homies. They're just like, dude, you don't worship God enough, bro. And they like take him back down to him, and they're like, God's like, hey, all of you guys were wrong. Job was actually right. And then he dips out, and it's like God gives everything back to him, and like if I was Job, I would be like, "What the fuck?" I like my take from that was that like all-powerful God in the sky can just cause me suffering no matter how righteous I prove myself to be. And so all it takes is him showing me the concept of everything. And then I'm like, "Oh my God, yeah, you really did come up with that concept." So I guess you just know everything. It's like the equivalent of like your mom like getting in an argument with your mom and she's like, "But I'm the mom." Like you don't like understand anything from that. You can like argue and feel like you're right and then she's like, "Well, yeah, but I'm the mom." So, and it's like, "Okay, well, we just hit a blockade in understanding, I guess." But I don't know, it was some dumb bullshit and then the added little bit it was just like it pisses me off and it makes me feel bad for every single woman. I don't really know how I was going to tie that into women's suffrage. I just kind of wanted to use it for the title because I mean, come on, it's a good title. But I've had this rant in me for a little bit and I feel like there's a lot of good shit in the Bible. There's a lot of cool shit. There's a lot of dead ideas though, and that's one of them. Just like, cause it's very manly to be like, well, here's something that I know about that you don't understand, so therefore I'm right without any education, any explanation, anything. It's just I know more, so I'm right. Like I could beat you up, so I'm just right. It's like it doesn't make any sense. I don't respect it. I don't like it. I wanted to make a ranty cam video about it. And guess what? It's my God given right. Oh shit. I'm fucking up all my recording. It's my God given right. I know how to yeah. Dude, I can Twitch stream. This is all the effort it takes, really. I do this because it's no effort. This is a glorified video journal.